Hey guys, what's going on? I'm here taking a look at one of my new custom action figures. This time a Planeswalker from the Magic the Gathering universe. And this is actually the third Planeswalker figure I've made, the first two being Jace Beleren and Ral Zarek. And this is Dack Fayden, and this was for the same customer that I made Ral Zarek for, so he should fit nicely in that collection. And I haven't kept up with Magic over the past few years, aside from looking at some of the card art, and that was really the main draw for me in the first place. But it was cool to revisit that world because there's a certain aesthetic that I like that goes beyond just the typical fantasy. And this was also a good chance to return to working with fabric. So this guy, he's actually mostly got a fabric outfit. There's some sculpting still. I can never not do sculpting, but it was cool to get back into the fabric and do some painting and stuff. So let's take a look at this guy. Okay, let's do a walkthrough of this guy's articulation. And again, I'm using the Marvel Legends Bucky Captain America action figure underneath all of this. And that body's been used quite a few times already, but since that was the first one, and I kind of just get it where I can find it, you know, no matter what character, like U.S. Agent or some of the newer bodies, I always just call it Bucky Captain America. So again, I'll Dremel down, and I try and maintain articulation no matter if I'm sculpting or using fabric. So from the top down, his hair does kind of interfere with his head movement, but he still can look up and down and then side to side a little bit. And then I always make the heads easily removable for painting and sculpting purposes. So that kind of helps in this regard. And lateral motion on the shoulders, forward, and they can move back. He has these fabric pieces that hang down from his coat, but I made them free-floating as opposed to attaching them to his jacket, so he can still get some good articulation. And of course the bicep swivel and double jointed elbows on each arm, and then wrists. And for this guy, he actually has an alternate arm, and character-wise, he's able to, I guess he takes off his gauntlet in some of the art. He has his gauntlet, and underneath he has his hand is stained red. So I was like, well, since the elbow articulation goes so far down with it being double jointed, I just decided to make the arms interchangeable. So they actually switch up here at the bicep joint. They come off pretty easy, but still maintaining the swivel. So he also retains the ab crunch a little bit, you know. Waist swivel, 90-degree hips, double jointed knees under the pants there. I got rid of this top of the shin swivel. I don't really like that, especially if there's gonna be some detail going on. And then ankle rockers, which are always nice for posing. So he can get some good poses, and his trench coat can flare out quite a bit, and he can get some dynamic looks going on the shelf. Okay, so let's take a closer look at some of the details, and I'll walk through some of the stuff going on with his outfit. Details. What I love the best, and why these figures are so much fun to make. And of course, characters with really fleshed out artwork have so much for me to go off of reference material wise, and I love it. So, nothing simple going on this guy. Starting from the top, this is actually a head cast I made from the Winter Soldier Captain America unmasked head of Chris Evans, and I resculpted from the nose down actually for another character. And since it was a good looking generic head, you know, bald with no hair after I shaved the hair down, kind of had that steely gaze. So I made a cast of that, and I just kind of had these generic heads laying around, and then depending on what hair you sculpt, or you know how you paint the facial hair, even the eyebrows, it can be a totally different character. So I wanted to try that out, and he looks much different than the other figures I'm using the head on. So aside from that, you know, sculpting his long hair that goes around. And then his outfit is it's pretty complicated, but I was really looking forward to doing it like in actual fabric this time because it's been such a long time. And then there's not really any way around like a big coat, long coat like this, except for fabric. So he has his scarf, this kind of leather piece that's in between his garments right here. He has a piece of shoulder armor, and this is from styrene cut to shape and then sculpted over and attached to some like plastic bits from another figures, like belts or some kind of web gear right here, just to give it a little flair. And then we have these fabric bits layered here. So what he has going on underneath is like a vest or a jacket. Pretty simple. And then he has his coat, and then these pieces on top, these like this mantle going on that goes all the way around the back. And then his shirt, he just basically has like a gray shirt, and then this leather belt with some buckles on it. And then he has another sculpted bit. So I tried to keep everything like a continuity for like what's leather, what's fabric. So this and this are sculpted, as well as his gauntlet and his boots, just for some uniformity. So his kind of like belt, I don't know, waist piece right here, this is sculpted. I laid down some styrene in that rough shape, and then I sculpted over that way. It has something to anchor to, and then it's all glued on top of his pants. And his pants are custom sewed, and everything's good to go there. Fabric, of course. And then what I did was I glued him down here below his knee joint, and then just sculpted his boots. Those go all the way around. That way, where they're connected is going to be secure, and they'll never come undone. And then his sleeves are sculpted, both gauntlets, and then I continued it onto his hands. And the accessory this guy comes with is his other arm, so these switch off. I made sure to Dremel that hole out real big so they could just switch off easy. That way you don't have to worry about messing with the paint or the sculpt. And that fits on. And he has his, I don't know, his exposed hand that he can do magic with. So there's that. And this was a one hand from one figure spliced onto the forearm of this base body. That way it would have some uniformity with the gauntlet hand. And there we go. That about covers all the details on this guy. And there he is, Planeswalker Dack Fayden from the Magic the Gathering trading card game and universe. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. I'll be back with more stuff soon.